All right, good evening, everybody. It is Wednesday, June 19th at 7 p.m. and we are having our regularly scheduled monthly Water Pollution Control Authority meeting. Before we get started, do I have any proposed changes to our agenda?
Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a proposal to add an item D under new business and introduce, not come to any conclusion, a rate discussion, sewer rate discussion.
Second. Second by Chris. All in favor? Aye. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you for adding that to the agenda. Yeah, exactly.
Made him sit down. Now we're going to.
Item number 2 is a closed executive session to discuss proposed resolution of 131 Beach Road.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion to go into executive session and to invite into executive session the CFO of the town, Mr. Becker, Mr. Clancy, Mr. Bodie,
Second.
and
You definitely want to invite me.
and our attorney Barbara. Lipper.
Second.
I thought you were automatic. Sorry.
All in favor? All right,
All right,
we're good.
go right ahead. Motion to exit executive session.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Agenda item number 3, possible vote of matter discussed in executive session.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion, please.
Yes.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the proposed development of 131 Beach Road to connect to the Fairfield sewer system. This approval will be valid for 2 years from July 2023. After 2 years, the applicant must reapply for an extended approval. If an extension of time is requested, the WPCA at its sole discretion may require an updated sewer capacity analysis. The applicant will be required to pay the I&I fees in effect at the time the permits are issued and the That's it.
Second.
Issued.
Are issued
within the 2-year period.
Oh, okay. Yes, I'm sorry. Are issued within the initial 2-year period. Within the 2-year period. Take the word initial out. Within the 2-year period.
Initial.
Initial. Leave the initial.
That's what you have in the last one.
No, but
But
this
this isn't
this-
an initial.
this is a different one. I mean, I got a lot of things that
A lot of things that were covered. Okay, second.
All in favor? Unanimous.
I'll probably wait for 15.
Thank you. Hopefully,
Thank you,
I'm
Barbara.
going to be able to report shortly that this appeal has been withdrawn.
So,
You know, we have to go through the 8-8 end hearing first. Just with the court, it's somewhat pro forma, but that's it. And I think the other thing the court is going to want to know is just when this is published.
what, the meeting minutes?
Do you publish the decisions?
The minutes we publish.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So just to know when that's going to
Draft
be.
minutes go out within.
I'm gonna ask.
Draft minutes, I
Question.
don't want to commit. The draft minutes go out typically within the week. I mean, by law,
Right.
Yeah, by law. So that's when they're out. And then we modify the draft minutes, making corrections to typos.
So you meet once a month, so it'll be.
Be formally approved.
Be formally approved.
Absolutely.
Okay, all right, very good, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Barbara.
Thank you. And Barbara, the
Yes.
gentleman that's out there, can you just mention to him to come in?
Sure.
If you see him.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, item number 4, bills and communications, approval of the March 2024 special public hearing.
Motion to approve the March 20th, 2024 special public hearing.
Second.
Second by Joe, all in favor?
Discussion.
Yeah. Good. Thanks. Approval of the May 15th, 2024 meeting minutes.
Motion to approve the May 15th, 2024 meeting.
Second,
Second.
discussion? Yeah.
No.
All good? All in favor?
Aye.
All right, unanimous. Moving on to item 5, old business. There's nothing there. So we'll move on to item 6, new business. 6A, a public hearing to discuss and approve proposed I&I rate changes effective July 15th, 2024. The proposed new rate schedule, which was published, I'm not going to read the whole, is as follows, unless I have to.
I'd move to waive the reading.
Thank you. Do I need a second?
Second.
Second.
There you go.
Do we all have to vote on that?
Yeah.
Okay, all in favor? All right. So we have waived reading the whole thing. Discussion?
Let me just state that this was posted at the town clerk's office. It was posted in the newspaper 10 days prior to this meeting. So we have satisfied that portion of it. So now, if this is approved tonight, then we will further notice it and
Right.
Good.
Thank you. Do we need any further discussion on this? Are we good to vote?
Motion.
Going to need a motion on the table to vote, but other than that,
Fair enough.
Motion to approve proposed inflow and infiltration rate changes effective July 15th, 2024.
I'll second.
All in favor? Unanimous. All right. Thank you,
John.
everybody.
Thank you, John.
Posting that 4 times.
Hearst Media loves us.
I'm sure.
It's expensive now too. That's crazy.
All right. What are we on? We're 6B, to hear, consider, and act on a proposed development located at 812, 820 Reef Road and 155 Forest Avenue, consisting of a maximum of 80 2-bedroom units.
Hey, good evening. Sorry I intruded too early. My name is Avon Bauer. I'm a project engineer with Crucides Engineering LLC, Fairfield. And this one's a bit of a unique one. I know typically when we come here, we're just asking for permission because we already have capacity in the pipe. But what we found is the EST report that was dated March and April of this year finds that the 8-inch vitrified clay pipe and Reef Road, right before it actually gets to the WPCA plant, dumps into the 42-inch main down Richard White Way, is actually under capacity as it is right now. So what we've done is very preliminary using some of the maps provided by town staff. We put together a little, just kind of a quick profile amendment and map amendment showing a new 12-inch line that we would propose. It would be PVC, of course. For approximately 200 feet, it's a little hard to gauge exactly because we couldn't actually find one of the manholes. It turns out that they paved over it when they repaved the road. So we can't find which manhole we would tie into, but according to this map here, there should be a manhole right about here.
Yeah.
And we would replace it, or we would replace the line from here to here, which is I think it was about 212 feet by the best that we could get as far as everything goes.
And that PVC then would connect to the 42-inch main.
Basically, yeah, it dumps in this manhole here, right here ties into, it ties into another manhole here where the 42-inch main dumps in. So this is where our flow monitoring was done, I believe, was in this manhole right here. And yeah, the 42-inch main comes from here to here, then down into the WPCA treatment plant. So we did receive a little bit of feedback, I think it was yesterday morning, from Ty and Bond, who kind of did a review of our plans. For the most part, they agreed with everything that we had. There were a couple minor transgressions. I know I believe one of the issues was we used 2.4 for the 2-bedroom units, which you've since up to 2.61. So we amended that. And we actually still have plenty of capacity. That 8-inch pipe was running before adding our development at 85.4% capacity. even with our potential 80-unit, two-bedroom development, which is the absolute maximum that they would propose on this, we're still only hitting about 27.8% capacity with a peak factor of 4. And if we go to a peak factor of 6, which was one of the comments from Time Bond, we're only at 29.5, not even 30% capacity in the 12-inch pipe. So I think there would be plenty of capacity, and we're hoping that you guys would be able to approve this as is. I know there were some conditions that may need to be discussed, but one of the items that they mentioned, Time Bond mentioned in their review, was to conduct soil borings because these pipes are in a flood zone and about 9 feet down. But their concern was mostly with uplift of any kind of, from any kind of buoyancy force if we were to be inundated with flood. But with 9 feet of fill over the top of that, I don't know that that would really be too much of a concern, in our opinion. Another condition that we would be happy to do is once that manhole is uncovered, we can give, a little bit more detail to a plan, maybe using the town's GIS system, and have a surveyor or with town's permission and help, we could probably go out and shoot the manhole ourselves to see what the invert is existing in the 2 manholes for the length of pipe that we'd be replacing, just to get a little more accurate, to make sure that the as-built is accurate to what was installed. I think this was built in the 70s or something to that effect, so it might be a little old. So it just helps us update that information if needs.
To do that, do you have to bring a milling machine in to peel it down and look for that manhole?
I'm not entirely sure how you would uncover the manhole, to be honest.
The town usually goes out and they'll jackhammer where it is.
I know it's there.
I was gonna say, I think you just mentioned that you
I know it's there. They paved over it because they just did paving on that
Yeah.
road. I know
basically just.
we call DPW or something, or I'll go out and say, I'll put a circle around and say, let's pop this up.
And DPW will go out there and read.
And say, I know where it is, but,
Yeah, and once
We
that-
know it's there though.
you don't have to know.
'Cause that was gonna be my only question. What?
Yeah, it's there.
It's there,
Yeah.
yeah.
You can't find it.
Some of the issues to figure out.
Exactly.
Hey, these things happen.
Still,
They just-
still getting sewage coming in, right?
Maybe.
You're putting a new pipe in and you can't find the old one. That's a problem.
Yeah, the 42-inch main, I believe, I don't think there's any flow data done on that, but I'm sure that's got more than enough capacity considering where it's going, so. Yeah, I'm here to, if you have any additional questions, I'd be happy to answer them. I know it's probably a pretty unique scenario for you guys.
Through you, Mr. Chair,
Sure.
are there any residents connected to that pipe that you're going to replace?
I think so, yeah, I believe, basically, so the development that we're doing is currently 2 different multifamily dwellings. And that's these 2, 812 and 820/822, which is now, I believe, only 820. And then the other property that they're looking to develop is in the back, kind of in the middle of these 2. And that would most likely not contain necessarily a structure, but would be a lot for parking. So it's just part of the application because it would be combined into one property.
I'm concerned with other residents along there,
So
if any.
Yeah, I believe it would be this one here has a tie, but that might be before the manhole. That's something we'd have to verify most likely. And then the only other one would I think be right here, because this is Veterans Park up here. There was, on your original sewer profile map, there's a bunch of property line cuts, but those are all X'd out on the map because they turned it into a park with a parking lot right there. So any disturbance to any residents would probably be very minimal in the actual section of that pipe. Obviously, there's quite a bit upstream and we'd have to, the contractor, when they came out, would have to figure out a way to pump that up and through to the next manhole.
So prior to replacing the 8-inch though, will that existing line get TV'd to confirm laterals?
If that's something that you would require, I'm sure that could be done.
I think that's probably,
Yeah, we could
want that,
We could
right?
do that tomorrow.
I mean, I don't care who does it. I'm just, I would want to make sure to.
That isn't interfered with.
When we replace this line,
Yeah,
if
you
we
wanna
don't
make sure-
reconnect all
Knock out-
laterals.
Exactly.
I'll have our crew do it.
And I think we also want to have it, maybe it's with Christine Brown, communication to anybody from,
Yeah, absolutely.
just make sure there's a letter or something explaining to them what's going to happen.
Exactly.
Okay.
Those are all details we can certainly iron out with John's.
No, I just wanted to get it on the.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, we're not just gonna show up in the road and tear it up and
Yeah.
not let anybody know.
It seems like a minor question, but it's a big question.
These are very sensitive residents in this
Yeah.
area. I want to be very
Yeah,
careful.
no, I understand.
I mean, really good points. Yeah.
And another question, you talked about PVC.
Yes.
What's the other pipe that's coming, not the main, not the 42, what's the other? Is that PVC?
It's
Is
a,
that clay?
it's an 8-inch vitrified clay that we're replacing. Yeah.
Okay, so now the question comes to my engineers. Is there a problem when you connect PVC and clay?
No, particularly not in this case, when we'll be connecting directly into the manhole.
So the manhole, so it's neat.
Cut out and then
Neat, gotcha.
around it.
You're good to PVC, right?
I'm the engineer.
Some jurisdictions aren't, I don't know why, but
Engineers are happy.
I prefer PVC.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know why
You
everybody
didn't
doesn't.
want to go back to clay?
Thanks.
Yeah, would.
And
Would.
it's going to be a 12-inch pipe.
So it's gonna allow
That,
Oh, I know they do.
I don't-
New Haven too.
there's not that much over there.
Yeah.
Okay, I just want to make sure.
I mean, it's a good point, but I don't think it's necessary.
The only thing I asked was, we're doing a 12-inch pipe. Is there any reason to make it any larger? And the answer basically is the development is there. There's not going to be anything else happening over there.
Yeah, I mean, even the 12-inch pipe, like I said, even with the peaking factor combined with the
It's still
Yeah, no,
30%.
30% capacity.
Right.
We considered a 10-inch pipe, but it was in the 40s and 50s, and we thought, you know what, I mean, the marginal cost is worth it to do a 12.
Right,
at this point.
exactly.
Thank
And
you.
then that sets the standard for anyone who wants to do the same.
Yeah,
Thank
exactly.
you.
I'm good. Any other questions?
So the area that's in the center of the block between Reef and Forest.
Yep.
Right now, it's an open field.
Yeah.
That will be likely parking.
If they would go under the section 830G is currently what we're applying for. So, I mean, this is kind of the first step along the way. So nothing's really been decided yet. But there's a good chance that, yeah, if it is building, it might be fairly small, but I believe the owner's intent is to make that mostly parking in that area.
Motion?
Looking at you, Joe.
Yeah. We're all looking at you.
You kid. I'd like to make a motion to allow the proposed development located at 812/820 Reef Road and 155 Forest Avenue, consisting of a maximum of 80 two-bedroom units, the Fairfield sewer system. This approval will be valid for 2 years from today. After 2 years, the applicant must reapply for extended approval. If an extension of time is requested, the WPCA at its sole discretion may require an updated sewer capacity analysis. The applicant will be required to pay the I&I fees in effect at the time the permits are issued, and the fixed I&I fees will be waived for this project if the permits are issued within the initial 2-year period. It is understood that the developer at his sole expense, as a condition of approval, will upgrade the sewer pipe required for this development. This upgrade must be approved by town engineering. Once approved, the upgraded pipe will be transferred and it become the responsibility of the WPCA.
Second.
All in favor?
Discussion?
No. Good. Unanimous.
Here's a quick question actually for you guys. So these fees that you're adding, are those inclusive to the I&I abatement fees or are they?
The ones I just waived,
Yeah,
the fixed fee
yeah,
is if you did not provide the flow data,
I see.
we would have to do it at a cost to us. So we would charge it back to the developer, but you did it, so I just waived it.
Right. So now it makes sense. So it's basically to collect that data and you still have to do the I&I abatement.
Right.
I thought you were talking about like, that is your fee for I&I and I'm like.
No.
Just say $20,000.
No, no, no.
400 and something. Yeah, no,
He was in the room when we did the variable fees, wasn't it?
How many of the 80 units would be subject to 830G?
I'm not entirely sure. I think it kind of breaks down by
Varies.
the various
But
medium.
it could be up to 80%. It could be.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Depends on how much the development wants.
exactly. Yeah.
Just curiosity, are these gonna be apartments or condominiums?
Well,
Or,
probably apartments if that's the case, yeah. I don't think.
yeah, that was curiosity, don't,
Nothing's really been kind of decided yet. It's more,
it's in.
this is
gotta go
always
to
the first
zoning.
step. It's the public
Gotta go
health
to
and safety, so it's gotta go to zoning, exactly. We don't get through you guys, there's no point on going through the zoning,
Right.
because that's a little more complicated. Well, thank you very much, commissioners. Have a great night.
Thank you. You too. Item 6C, to hear update on procedure for new development review prior to being brought to the commission for approval. Take this one. So, at our discretion moving forward, anytime, new development comes before us, we can engage one of our on-call engineers to support that process. So it seems like there's just kind of been a little bit of a gap in the process of who's actually reviewing calcs and all that kind of stuff, and who's even determining what manholes get monitored and all that kind of stuff. And so rather than put that on us, the town, all that kind of stuff, getting one of our engineers to kind of take over both management of that and liability makes a lot of sense. And so that's why we had Ty and Bond do a third-party review on their flow monitoring report, just to make sure that somebody was actually reviewing that outside of town engineering, which is overloaded, or us, which, I mean, we're not supposed to be doing that. So,
We have a proposal right now from Wright Pierce, which is going to go to the Board of Selectmen next Wednesday for approval. So they will look at all the applications. They will determine where flow monitoring is to take place. They will review the data once submitted. They will incorporate any other projects in the area. They will take it soup to nuts, and then they will write a letter like we got for 812. And we will have that, and it's on them, their engineering, their data, their approval. So
so we can review that report. We could review the actual developers. I think for our sake, having a third-party engineer review it and say, we've looked at this, this is our questions, comments, concerns, and that's what we would use as our basis for approvals as opposed to just relying on the developer reports. So, thoughts, comments, questions? Sure.
So they would be looking at all the flow data reports and all that.
everything.
So can they put a flow data database together for us?
We're
That's another.
separate.
Okay.
This is a short-term fix for a long-term issue.
Something.
Mhm.
We're going to be
Whatever you need
discussing that later.
That would.
Very,
need something
very good
to help
comments. Yes,
on that.
that's not what's going to be included in this scope right now.
Going on.
But yes, we do want to
Otherwise, it's a shoebox full of memories.
correct it.
Oh yeah, by the way, here's Fairfield, by the,
Yep.
So, are they gonna be available for the meetings?
That's a great question.
Yep. If
Yeah,
we
if we
require
need-
them to
okay.
come, they will have somebody here.
Okay.
Well, may not be here, but remote.
At least,
As
yeah,
long as we can-
to field questions.
Yep.
Yeah.
Even at least starting off, I think.
And all this,
for these, it would help out.
all this will be on an hourly rate basis. So if it takes them 3 hours, great. If it takes them 10, then it is what it is,
That
but
makes perfect sense.
Yep.
Joe?
Okay, 2 questions, please.
Yeah.
The cost of this will be in the WPCF budget. It's not there now, correct? If this wasn't conceived,
we have fees and professional services, and in that line item, we have, I think, $80,000 for engineering. So
okay.
This is way less than that. I
Okay,
mean, over
I
the
just-
course of a full year.
And number 2, the contract will include a liability clause if they, being Wright Pierce, what is the,
they're on the hook
or what?
for whatever.
That liquidated damages, if
The
environmental damages, what are they on the hook
So
for?
on that, they're just reviewing data. So the data goes back to,
but they're also giving,
If they review it and give an opinion, they're relieving them of their liability.
I don't know
I
if that's
think.
I
necessary.
don't know if that,
It's also, I mean,
they're hired through us. If there, it's no different than if we approve this, then there's an issue.
yeah,
We're
exactly.
gonna go after, we're gonna say, wait a
We're
second,
gonna go after them.
you gave us bad data. And we're gonna,
They gave us bad data. If we have a problem,
So if they tie in and then all of a sudden we have SSOs in the downstream manhole, we're not going after them.
why
We're
wouldn't,
I
why
mean,
wouldn't we go after?
going after.
do we ever do that?
Going after,
We've never had the instance where we had to
When we have
because
sanitary sewer overflows, do we ever go after?
we have no new development
Connected.
causing it. The problem is
It's
the
gonna be
overflows are,
Possible to actually.
you know,
figure
that becomes a lawyer's dream, but I'm just asking the liability question. Is there a liability clause in this contract from Wright Pierce?
you could read it. I know I sent this to
I bet there's not.
Attorney Pierce and he was okay with it. So.
I bet there's not.
I bet you there's not.
Matt, your point is though, that you're taking it off the shoulders of this committee
Correct, yeah.
and that's a super smart
If
move.
developers don't like our if developers don't like either our, well, I mean, they would always like our approval. So, but if they don't like our rejection and then decide to go after us,
No legal terms.
our
What is that right there?
engineers who are saying, we would be basing our rejection off of a third party review. We're probably never, I can't imagine a situation where Wright Pierce or Ty and Bond or whoever's actually doing this
Just
review
malfeasance if you.
recommends that they're acceptable to connect and then we're not gonna actually connect them. Right, exactly. But at least if we do reject, we're rejecting it based on an engineer's opinion to reject. And then if that goes to litigation,
You know,
the engineers are going on the stand. We're not sending John or
Oh, God.
or me or you or
I think Joe would go.
Joe wants to.
And back to your question. Those have been in the past reviewed by our town engineers. Mike, Matt's point was our town engineers don't have enough time to do it for us. We've never, I mean, when we didn't have an engineer on our committee or a construction guy, we needed to get somebody else's opinion. Now they've just formalized it to be
Which is,
an engineering firm to the outside, not the town engineers
I agree.
who have.
A month or so ago, somebody sent that to me and was just like, hey, can you review this? And I'm like, no.
You're not looking at it.
Can't go down.
It's a discussion.
And Bill Hurley doesn't want it.
It's a good idea.
Yeah, Bill doesn't,
But yeah,
Bill doesn't have time. I'm not getting paid for it. So I was like, let's
I'm gonna give an opinion.
hire an engineer.
No, it's a good idea.
Yeah, exactly. So that was the purpose.
he is a comment.
yeah, so the reason this is a good idea is because usually I choose where the flow monitors go. And there has been times when people say, well, did you put the flow monitors in the right place with, you're using EST Associates, or whatever. So there could be like some, you know.
But that's not gonna help you with the flow monitors.
No, but
because it's after the fact.
No, but they're gonna
They could-
contact Joe.
They could say,
You can
John,
pull them in whenever.
Oh,
Yeah.
so they'll do a
So-
this is where, okay, you just explained it that they're only gonna do a,
No.
The engineer,
of that. They're also gonna do a
the engineer is going to get the application, look at where the property is, look at the pipes in the area and say, you've got to monitor here, here, and it may be 3 places.
won't come back on us.
Correct.
Okay,
Yes.
that's even better.
Because it almost has.
Now, again, we're doing this on an on-call, so I mean, if it's a super simple tie-in and John wants to, if it's pretty obvious, like, oh, you just need to put a monitor in these 2 spots, I'm perfectly fine with you saying that, or we just pull them in and they spend
And
literally 30 seconds probably looking at a map saying,
Here, here.
do these 2
That
spots.
would help because even like this, they could look exactly what's
Exactly.
going on and be like, oh yeah, here. So then instead of sending it out to Ty and Bond to review it, it all goes through them. I think that's right.
We didn't want to own this process anymore.
Exactly.
You didn't want to.
I certainly didn't want to.
That engineer.
I absolutely did not want to. I'm glad we're offloading. Any additional questions, comments, thoughts on 6C?
We have to, it's.
There's no,
No vote necessary.
yeah,
It's done.
it was just a discussion, yeah. We're doing it. Yeah. Item 7, update on, oh, right, thank you, Joe. That didn't get added to my uneditable. Item 6D, introduce rate discussion. Please.
So it's that time of year again. We issue the sewer bills in September. the payment is due in October. We have to get to the vendor that actually does the bills, prints the bills. We have to give them the rate, the new rate, if it's changed, by about August 15th, August 20th, in that range. With the new process that John has to go through now, unfortunately, it looks like to me about a 5 or 6 week process. So Matt and I just decided we wanted to introduce the concept that we will be talking about we will be talking about the rate. I don't want to say increases. I don't want to indicate anything yet. I had a few questions out to our town budget director to try to get a projection of where he thinks some of the expenses are going to be going forward. Talking to David just before, talking to the town CFO just before the meeting. Within a week or two, David, you feel we'll get answers to those three? You think
Yeah, I think
reasonable?
middle to end of next week, we can do that. I'm probably gonna have some
If
additional.
I can get it in 3 weeks, our next meeting is 4 weeks from today. For me to put it together in a little presentation form and make some recommendations for the discussion, if I can get that within 3 weeks, that would be wonderful. Otherwise, we'll just talk. I'll call you, we'll make some assumptions, just like budgeting.
Yeah.
So right now, based on the rate we have, just to give you some background, we charge $5.25 per 100 CCF. I was unable yet to get the files from Aquarian. Aquarian has generated the volume files. I'm always concerned every year that the volume drops a little bit, which affects the rate. It's just the mathematical rate times volume gives us a number. The town firewall seems to be blocking us, and we're trying to get a resolution on that as to why we can't get the data through. Within 3 weeks, I would hope to get that data. Otherwise, we'll make the assumption that the volumes are about the same. A couple of things, obviously, in the past, we'll look at the expenses. This rate has to cover, the rate and I&I are our revenue, and fog permits are our revenues to cover the department budget, the servicing of interest and debt. So that's, and all the department expenses. So that's what it's got to cover. And I will come with the proposal of what the different rates will generate in cash and how much cover we have. We always like to generate a little bit extra just as a buffer for our fund. And so I just wanted to put that on the table and explain it to everybody. It's a math exercise, but then when I bring the numbers in, it's going to be a discussion as to where we want to be. 0 will cover us, I can guarantee that. With no rate increase, we're covered. Do we want to do a rate increase like the town did of 1.42%, which is what they did on their overall budget? Or do we want something different, something higher, which we've done in the past because we were shooting for building our fund to cover
Large capital,
large capital investments,
which are still coming
but at a smaller velocity, we hope, because of the plant.
instead of.
Instead of 98 million,
It's still a lot.
probably 34 million or so.
Sure, yeah.
So, but I mean, all those will be in the math.
Right.
You know, I will take all those numbers, crunch them, and we will be discussing them at the next,
July meeting.
at the July meeting. Yes.
So just so to make sure I understand the process, because it's pretty convoluted.
It's actually straightforward.
We will discuss and basically come up with our recommended rates at the July meeting, which we will then have to post and approve.
That's where it becomes
Exactly, I know.
convoluted.
Yeah,
Yes.
like we do
Yes.
our thing, but.
Our next meeting will be a motion to raise or to come up with an adjustment. If we don't raise the rate, we don't have to do anything. It'll just carry.
Of course.
But if we change the rate, it's got to go through the adjustment, posting it in the paper, having a public
Not a
announcement.
lot of time though, between our next meeting and when you have to get this to the principal.
August 15th. That's what I'm saying. The
So-
next meeting is the one.
So our next meeting is to actually have a fruitful discussion about it, and then we formally approve at the August meeting, and that works.
We will approve it at the July, we will come up with our rate at the July meeting.
Then we.
It will be put in the paper, from my understanding, and then at the August meeting, we
Right, exactly.
approve the proposal.
I am going to engage attorney peers tomorrow and say, we've got this coming up. What do we have to do? And we know, and then we can.
I don't think that's the problem.
The August meeting, though, isn't that after?
It's close. I mean, I said the 15th, it's between the 15th and the 20th for the printer. It'll give us just enough time to do it. That's what we've done in the past. We just jump.
We can formally approve at the August meeting. We don't have to do it in the July.
August 21st is the August meeting.
Okay. But that works.
It looks like it does, looking at the calendar.
Okay. That sounds good. I mean, otherwise, if we needed to, we could discuss it in July and then post right after that and then do a special meeting between July and the August meeting if we had to.
Yeah.
I'd rather not have to do that.
I will go back to the vendor and make sure I have their drop dead date.
Okay.
And then we'll back off from that.
Perfect. That works. All right.
60.
That was 6D. 7, update on current projects. Well, I've got some other notes that I have to share, but so phases 1, 2, and 3 of Metro project.
Phase 1 and 2, the bids will come in tomorrow. So hold on to your hats. Phase 3
Is
is,
there anything we're expecting? You have any
I have no preconceived notion other than no comment.
there were like 15.
There was a good showing at the pre-bid, at the mandatory pre-bid meeting, so it's positive. Yeah.
So you can have the guys waiting in the parking lot, seeing how many people go in now.
I'm going to be at the bid opening tomorrow. So I really want to see what comes in. I'm very intrigued.
As am I.
Phase 3 is the Riverside Drive thing. That's something that's kind of more separate from us, and that's moving along, but there's nothing to really say. It's,
How many siphons? Do we know?
No.
Okay. They changed it.
we might not need siphons. I don't know. It's all being vetted now, so.
Good.
I Phase 5, Wright Pierce is digging deep into all the data they've gathered and they're formulating a plan. So I think Dennis said he should have something preliminarily in October. Don't quote me on that, but that's what it looks like.
Does Dennis talk to the town planner? Mark Barnhart? Does his input get in there for I
purposes, for the point of view of where there might be developments that we have to deal
I
with?
don't think they really, I don't think they,
Doesn't get to that
I
level?
don't think so.
Okay.
I could be wrong, but I don't believe it.
Okay.
Where are they with like phase 2 or what, the ones that we're implementing now for the projects?
Phase 2 of what?
That phase 5, I think, is
What- what are we-
is the design. So
We're designing.
Ray Pierce is designing, they're identified.
Where are we implementing a lot of these? Aren't we fixing a lot of these
We're-
issues?
That's what they're,
Their design package is for roughly 3 million in repairs, so,
manhole lining, pipe replacement, pipe lining.
which was the top, whatever it was, 10% or so of what they had identified, so.
Secondary digester cleaning and repair. We had a scope meeting with the contractor last week. They're getting their ducks in a row. They're not going to be starting before July 4th, which I mean is a good thing. I'm hoping shortly after that, and I hope them to be done with the cleaning and everything before Labor Day. But I don't foresee any odor issues because we're doing what we're doing right now. So there's no issue.
What's the magic about July 4th that you want to?
But we just don't want stuff going on when people are having picnics and.
They're not on here, but I have a couple other updates. Am I allowed to even talk about them?
Absolutely.
Okay, I wasn't sure.
We're not, no motions.
No motions. Okay. Yeah, it's more just status updates, so. Because Bucky couldn't make it tonight, but he sent me a list of projects that he wanted to update us on, so. John talked about the I stuff and then pump station design. He had informed in this, I don't know specifics, but he said there's an issue about the force main at Mill Hill. Do you know anything about that?
Mill River, they ran a test ball through the force main several times, and the test ball kind of gives you an idea how the pipe is. There is the possibility of 7 leaks in the force main going from the pump station down Sturgis Road. We're trying to figure out how we're going to address that, how valid these issues are, because it's all through magnetic thing and a whole lot of jargon that I really don't know. There is another force main there, same size, valved off. It's 40+ years old. It's never been used. So right now we are our guys are going to stick the camera in and see what we can see. But what we're thinking about is pressure testing it. So blocking it off where it dumps into the manhole, putting however many pounds of pressure in there, letting it sit and see if it holds. If it holds well, and we have good confidence that it's in good shape, we'll switch over and then we'll address the force main that we believe is leaking that way. So it's something that is in phase 2 of the pump station stuff, but we found it now and we'll have to move the force main at Mill River up on the list and move something back
So where would that fluid be going from
in the ground.
it's just ground?
I mean, it's right next to Mill River.
It's in the river.
Where does that river flow to?
How valid are they? I mean, they give us a percentage, but who knows? I mean, we got to really get into it and see what's.
So what made you do the test with the ball?
It's something,
Precipitated that?
it's something that they, Time Bond
Okay.
is doing part of the phase 2
Yeah.
pump station stuff.
Okay,
Force main.
Just wondering what-
It's a standard,
I didn't know
for
why.
pressure pipe,
Why
it's a
that
standard.
particular, so they're gonna do it at all the pump
It's
stations?
an instrumented ball that gets passed.
It's called a smart ball. They just send it through a pressure pipe. With pressure pipe, you can't do CCTV inspections because it's flowing full and you can't really turn it off, generally. And so instead, they just send this little ball through and it captures, I don't know, it does some sort of electromagnetic stuff that's beyond me as far as science and.
Yeah.
I'm not sure exactly what it gives you even in terms of information, but to John's point, sometimes it could be, there could be some anomalies or inaccuracies and that kind of stuff. So it can tell you, it can give you information, but you generally have to do additional investigation to validate that information.
Would it be the normal range of operation here to test? To see if it's hitting the river?
That'd be,
It could be a goose went by.
yeah,
Not 2
exactly.
seconds before,
So
whatever.
many different reasons for why a river might be contaminated beyond just the pipe
No.
itself, so.
It's deep.
I liked checking about the never used pipe, I think is a good strategy. I'm not optimistic about a 40-year-old abandoned pipe actually being viable. But hey, it's certainly worth investing.
That's in there. They put 2 pipes in, I'm
They
assuming.
put 2 force mains in when they built it in 1980, 82.
So probably not clay.
It's ductile iron, I think.
First one.
We're gonna see.
Yeah,
Find out.
no.
The ball's about 3.5 inches, so they say they can do 4 inches and up. And they wanted to send it through the force main at Toll House, which goes from Toll House under the Merritt Parkway out to Jefferson Street. And that means I got a 1/4 inch on each side of the force main. No, because you know where it's gonna get stuck, right in the middle of Merritt Parkway. And then what do you do?
The pipe's never been used.
I'm
Why
talking
do
about
you-
Toll House.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So you just go home.
Yeah, you just leave the keys and the phone on the desk.
Yeah.
Well, you might want to later.
I don't wanna waste a lot of time on it, but we are replacing 7 other pump stations. Should we be putting a separate force main in as a contingency? They did it in 82 for some reason. Was that reason a valid reason?
The thought process right now, and we don't have a lot of information, is we're going to check them both out.
No, not that one.
Which one?
The new ones. We're gonna do 7 new, are we planning on doing full force mains?
No.
The pump station.
That's not typical.
That's
And
not
the
typical,
reason
thank you.
it's not is because you just put an empty pipe in the ground.
Yeah.
Chances are 40 years.
Years later, it's not gonna work.
gonna
But
be.
I just thought I'd ask the
stitched
question.
out and
I'm not an engineer. I just thought I'd ask the question. If they did it back then,
Yeah.
should we be looking at it now?
I've never heard of anybody else doing that.
Okay.
And I mean, hey, if this works, maybe it's a case study in doing redundant pipe networks.
Any new pipe would probably not be a steel pipe today, or would.
I don't know what,
Put PVC in the ground.
you can use that as a force main?
Yeah.
You see? Yeah.
They do now.
Oh, do they?
Then get the roots and everything going through it.
Right. I mean,
Like,
normally don't put a pipe in the ground that you don't need.
I agree.
It's, but they did.
They're lucky every once in a while.
It could
Let's
work.
throw this in here. Just in case.
Yeah. Pipe was cheap back then.
I mean, and plastic pipes, not that expensive, especially if you're already digging the trench, but
For their cost putting it, yeah.
Well, that's why I asked the question, should we be looking at it?
yeah. Let's see how this one goes and then we'll,
Okay.
if this one goes well, then maybe we should be rethinking.
Doesn't
the
cost you anything to put that right next to the other one.
strategy. Yeah, exactly. So it's worth checking.
Okay.
As far as the plant renovations, we're still looking into design delivery methods, for how to actually address that in terms of whether or not we try to do something like progressive design build versus design bid build. We haven't made enough progress on that, hopefully more next month. We kind of wanted to see how, Metro phase 1 and 2 went. If, to kind of maybe help steer that conversation, so.
And can I just on the plant, I mean, reading there, the report, the engineer's report, the one thing that concerned me was the UV equipment, single source of failure caught my attention.
Sure.
And doing some research, I understood that the lead time on that equipment is like over a year. So could we make sure we have an emphasis on at least that UV part of the
Sure.
operation? I mean, if we're gonna work on the plan in pieces, that would be to me the most, even though it's the last,
Be politicking for that.
even though it's the last piece, it's the most important.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's number one. I
Okay.
mean, and that's
I just want to keep that.
a good chunk of that budget too. I mean, that's the most expensive piece and
And
also the highest criticality. Yeah.
You wind up with hundreds and hundreds of trucks, right? Per day or something, or.
We'd have to use chemicals.
Chemicals.
Yeah, yeah.
Right.
Otherwise it goes into Long Island Sound, the bugs go into sound.
Yeah.
We don't want this.
Are you seeing any new stuff coming up with all like the microplastics and different PFAS coming through?
I'm saying a lot more on the drinking water side than
Or
wastewater.
you haven't seen anything on the wastewater side with the PFAS and all that other stuff?
PFAS is
I haven't.
everywhere.
Yeah, I
Now
mean,
it's- Now they're, yeah, I agree. And now they're testing it. Now that even for all like the groundwater testing and all that, it's all required testing on that. So I wonder,
We're testing our sludge
you are,
for PFAS. Yeah.
you are.
Just to have a
I
big.
was gonna say on the wastewater side, sludge is actually the only place where
Supposed to do to treat it. How are you supposed to?
in drinking water, it's largely filtration.
Yes.
Granular activated carbon is the.
They don't have the answers.
That's exactly,
They don't have the answer.
yeah, they don't even know what
On sludge.
color, how would you?
Maine has stopped. Maine has, the incinerators can't get hot enough.
Oh, really?
Really. The incinerators that are around here don't get hot enough to burn up,
Okay.
and they want to shut most of the incinerators down anyway.
Right, yeah, exactly.
Somebody else.
Maine stopped all land application of sludge. The entire state can't put it down because of PFAS. PFAS has been around since the 40s and
Right.
50s. Scotch Guard and all that stuff. So
Yeah, but yeah, there's no.
Two more updates. So the structural, electrical and SCADA reviews, that were identified in the engineer's report at the plant. Those are kind of being handled in tandem with whatever method we've decided to do for the known issues at the plant in terms of delivery. So if we end up deciding to go with progressive design builds, then one of the initial tasks will probably be include those reviews. If we go more traditional, then we might separate those reviews from that package. So that's it for that. And then doing the hydrology analysis, so like setting up a hydraulic model. We have started working on an RFQ and according to John, it sounds like that's gonna be coming out in 2-ish weeks. So between now and July, I think there'll be an RFQ out there for that one. And that's all I have for those updates, which brings us to item 8. Status update on bypasses.
on June 2nd, At 608 Kings Highway was grease. We bypassed about 75 gallons.
You didn't get anything on Friday for that?
We got 2.4 inches of rain.
In like 10 minutes.
Yep, and the good thing was, I guess, it made it to the catch basins and got out to Long Island Sound because we saw a slight uptick in flow at the plant, and we were back to normal within 2 days, which was
Wow,
unreal.
that's great.
No, it's fantastic.
I was driving back home. We had the beach bonfire and we all got stuck in it driving back home. You couldn't get past,
No,
you couldn't get underneath the bridges. I'm like, oh, this is gonna be bad.
No, we.
Great. Oh, that's good. I know
For the rescues under the bridges.
I don't know why they keep going through them. Signs.
Motion to adjourn. Anyone?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.